Hi, you'd be absolutely amazed how many deals in DC, Montgomery County, and even Virginia fall apart after both sides think it's all locked in. Sometimes it's the home inspection, sometimes it's financing, sometimes it's appraisals, sometimes it's even titles or prices. But it all means heartache, stress, and lost money. What I want to do today is break down why deals collapse here in the DMV and how you can protect yourself before it's too late. First one is the home inspection meltdown. Buyers often panic when issues come up, and sellers can dig in. Sometimes it's the inspector who only shows the bad things that come up with the property and don't put them in an accurate context. In competitive markets, often inspections weren't done as part of the transaction. They may have been done prior to submission in an abbreviated form. But buyers have learned to regret waiving that inspection. It's pretty important and it's pretty recommended. So, one thing you can do as a seller is pre inspect the home before you put it on the market, get an idea of what's wrong, and fix what you can. You won't always prevent an issue from coming up as a result of the home inspection contingency, but the more you know about your home, the more you can protect yourself and prevent as the process goes on. Another issue is the financing. Pre approvals are done, and while they're pretty reliable, it ain't done until it's done. The final loan commitment is what dictates, and even then, it's not for certain. There could be job changes, there could be credit inquiries. Somebody buys a new car, buys a lot of furniture to get ready for the new house. These can all sink a deal mid process. So you don't want to do that. No major life changes or purchases until you've got keys in hand if you're the buyer. If you're the seller, the financing things that can come up in place are different, but they can be prevented as well. I've run into times where it was found out midstream that a divorce was going on that the buyers didn't know about, or there was a bankruptcy proceeding started without one of the parties knowing. So there are issues that can happen and they will affect. Another one is low appraisal. This happens particularly in a case where a property has bid up substantially. Contract price runs ahead of the comps. In DC, Montgomery County, older appraisals or limited data could skew the value. Keep in mind that that appraisal that's done is based on sales data from 30, 60, 90 days ago. So it's not real time, it's not present time. And so you have to keep that in mind. If a property's been competitive and someone's gone up 10, 50, $100,000, there could be an issue with regard to the appraisal. If you're the buyer, you want to realize that you might have that issue and discuss that with your lender, discuss that with your agent. There are ways that you can prevent a major issue with that. You can't prevent a low appraisal, but you can have plans in place that can counteract some of the worst case scenarios. Another issue is title issues, condo issues, HOA issues. There can be unreleased liens, there can be unpaid assessments, there can be missing HOA docs, and these can all derail closings. All the jurisdictions around here require that there is the delivery by the seller of the resale package, and buyers have the right of rescission built into that. So, sellers, make sure you provide those documents early on so that if the property is going to go off the market, it happens sooner rather than later. And buyers, you should read them. You should look through them. There can be issues that are valid and legitimate that say you might want to reconsider that purchase. One of the most unexplainable and difficult situations that derails a deal is when the buyer gets cold feet. This often happens in a competitive bid situation where the buyer has escalated to some very high number over list, and then a couple of days later goes, oh my God, what have I done? So they get nervous. It can also happen where they found a property that they liked even better. So these are things that you got to realize. Somebody can get cold feet and they can try to void the contract. Now, there are potential consequences, and it is possible if you, as the seller, have the ability to reclaim that deposit that was put with the contract. However, reality is that sometimes for various reasons that just doesn't happen. So realize that there are penalties. Realize also that they may not be able to be executed. But you should recognize that it ain't over until it's over. If you're a buyer, don't skip due diligence, even in a hot market. Understand your contingencies. I had some folks looking for a property about a year or so ago when the market was really pretty hot, and they wanted to escalate up to a certain point. I was honest with them. I said, if you buy this house and you go over this point, I think it's kind of stupid. And they listened to me. Somebody else got the property, but they were very happy with that result. So if you're the buyer, do your due diligence. Listen to your agent. Look at the pricing. Understand your contingencies, especially the inspection, financing, and appraisal contingencies. They bear heavily on the result after settlement or during the transaction. Keep your communication tight with your lender and with your agent, and have a backup plan if something goes sideways. If the appraisal goes not as you expected, then have something in place if you still want the house, because it can be worked out in many cases, depending on the circumstances. If you're a seller, disclose. Don't hide something. Surprises cost deals over and over and over again. Consider a pre-listing inspection and fix things that you can. That won't guarantee there won't be an issue in the inspection of a serious nature, but if you do fix some things, you may be able to lessen the chances of something going sideways when that inspection does happen. As far as the buyer's financial qualifications, do your due diligence. Have your agent call the lender, talk to them, ask questions. The lender's only going to tell you so much due to privacy rights and laws and regulations, that sort of thing. But you can ask questions, you can get an idea and talk to them. If you're the seller, keep documentation on things, permits, repairs, HOA info. Keep that and pass it on to the new buyer or the new owner. But keep documentation, keep the permits, keep the repairs, keep the HOA information. It's very, 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 very smart. In Montgomery County, according to Bright MLS data, 1 in 8 contracts terminate before settlement. This is mostly due to financing and inspections. So there are possible reasons why a contract can go sideways. It may not be legitimate, but it will happen on occasion. Most deals don't fall apart because people are dishonest. It's because they don't know what to expect. That's really the problem. They don't know how to handle the change because they weren't apprised of their options. If you're buying or selling in Montgomery County or DC, understand the contingencies and contract protections, and that's your best insurance policy. Know what you're signing. Know what that inspection contingency allows for. Know what that financing contingency provides. Know what the appraisal can do if it doesn't come in at what you've agreed to. You should look that contract over. Look over those HOAs. Look over all of that information and know what you're signing. If you need to, get legal counsel. An attorney can advise you if that's what's needed to help you with. But the biggest thing is to know what you're signing, have a backup plan, and also don't get freaked out by an inspection that has a few issues. I haven't found a house yet in 20 some years of practice that is perfect, even a new one. So you're going to find things that are out. So in summary, some deals do fall apart. Most don't. And when they do, in many cases, it can be prevented simply by knowing what you're signing, simply by knowing what to expect, and simply by having a backup plan. Good luck on your sale. Good luck on your purchase. And I hope it stays together until you sign the papers itself.